Do you ever have the situation where you have an invoice number and every time you add one, let's say Carl here, you're increasing this invoice number? And if you keep this all here, it's fine. But if you turn your sheet around, you move things around, you might not remember what the last invoice number was, and you might not remember what to increment it to. So how can we create a sheet that will remember? Well, let me show you, because it's really fun and really exciting part of AppScript that's available to you, which is a property inside of your sheet. There's properties we can save inside of the sheet. So let's open AppScript and start coding. We'll create a function called Increment Invoice Number. We'll also create a function called Create Invoice Number. What we're going to do is use the property service dot. And now we have three options: document, script, or user properties. User properties will be with us through all of our Google Workspace, but our document properties will have the sheet itself remember. So let's do that. Get document properties, and we'll set a property. Setting property is fairly simple. We need a key and a value. The key is sort of the code we're going to use to say, we're going to go to properties, say, we're going to give you a code, what's that value back? And then we can set that property or reset that property later to something else. And these are all strings, so there is going to be a little bit of an issue where we're going to have to get a string, change that to a number, change that number by 1, then save it as a string. So let's set that property first as invoice number. And the string is going to be 1000. Now, this property we can say variable first invoice number. Might be something different, but we're going to save it as 1000. And we can take this variable here and delete the quotes, but we're going to need to set this as a string, so we got a toString. So that's saving the invoice number, or creating it in the very first place. So we're going to save this code, and now we're going to create our invoice number. We're going to click Run, and there it's saved. So let's create a function get invoice number. We're going to take the exact same thing, get properties, document properties, get property, and here we just need to give it the key, which is increment, which is invoice number, actually. And let's logger.log that. And let's just look at it and see if this is correct. Let's get invoice number, run. There it is, 1000. But let's make sure we change it to a number. So I think we're going to do parse int, and this is going to be by 10. Let's save and run. Again, get 1000. Now that 0.0 means we are a number. Instead of function increment, let's get new invoice number. And what we're going to do is essentially get current invoice number, show current invoice number plus 1, and then save current invoice number plus 1. So this invoice number plus 1, let's get it first. So we're going to use this parse int. We're going to say invoice number equals, let's say, variable. Now we're going to show the user this so that we know what's the current invoice number. We'll do spreadsheet app.get UI. We'll do it in alert. An alert is just going to be a string, and we're going to say invoice number, or actually new invoice number. Let's variable new invoice number equals invoice number plus 1. And let's actually show that new invoice number. And then we're going to save it. So we need to take this exact same saving, property service.get document properties, set property, invoice number, and we're going to say new invoice number dot toString and save. So how do we get this new invoice number? I'm going to get a custom function that's going to have a menu for us. That's at bettersheets.co/snippets. And what it is, it's an onOpen, and it says create a menu, invoice number menu. We're going to have this create invoice number. We'll call this set up invoice number. We can get invoice number as well if we want, but we just want new invoice number. So let's say get new invoice number, or next could be. So we'll save this and we'll refresh the sheet, meaning close the sheet and open it again. And when that happens, next to the help menu up here has invoice number. So let's get next invoice number. We need to authorize this. Click continue. New invoice number 1001. Okay, so that's not these, but the one that we actually saved. And let's get a new one. Get next invoice number 1002. So every time we get a new invoice number, it is going to be added 1. So pretty cool, right? So now this spreadsheet remembers the invoice number, and we can take this and say, okay, that's the next one for Fred. Okay, if this is here, now no matter what, even if this all changes, goes away, gets deleted, the spreadsheet remembers our invoice number, and it can get it for us. Get next invoice number 104 without any saving of data inside of the spreadsheet. This is actually saved in properties. I think this is pretty cool. And if you want this exact spreadsheet and you want this exact code, go down below in the description below. I've given you a link directly to it. You can copy this exact sheet, this exact code. Enjoy. You're watching Better Sheets here on YouTube. Make sure you check out this video or this video and subscribe right now to get more tips, tricks, how-tos. Get more out of your Google Sheets than you ever have before. I'm excited to be making a ton more videos here. Ask me questions down in the comments and I will answer them in future videos. But for right now, right here, one of these videos is going to be your next Google Sheet.